Zensisi TV.
Alex Kamangila kupitilizabe nkhani zake zoulula zisisi makamaka zomwe zimachitika boma pa nkhani ya Katangale, ndipo mmenemu wachulamuso anthu muli aina Achakwera mkati mwakemwe achina Tomwe Pinganjira, Trifone Pinganjira, komanso ma MP mene amajira misonkho ya Malawi ndi zambiri.
Ifeyo ndamene tingatese Katangale potani putting pressure on these people, because these people don't want to end corruption because they are benefiting from it. So they want to end corruption for free. We have to push. Ngati tikufunika kuti agende miyala, tienti agende miyala. Kaya miyala kaikhala yamawu, kaikhala miyala eni andale okawa nde akamaba kwa agenda miyala sikulako. Chifukwa anthu mumalimbana kugenda miyala ndi anthu amene akuberani chovala pa chingwe, amene akuberani poto zinthu zopanda ntchito, amene mumalephera kwa agenda miyala andale, kungopita ku parliament ucho kagenda miyala basi. Mukumva? That's how you end corruption. Imene yafika pa level ya ku Malawi, just go to parliament, stone parliament. That's how you end corruption. That's how the Kenyans behaved, you know. And this is, I'm not calling for violence. I'm an violent person. But mukafika pa level na kuti mwafinyika anthu, matango genda miyala yake mafuna kugenda ma strategic kuti musavulalize anthu. Don't stone people, don't kill people. Timagali motauti jande mutigende timene ndi ndalama zanu zimene zijazo. You know kuti ndalama zimene mukapita ku parliament uta. Have you ever gone to parliament? You should go to parliament. Mukaone magali motamene amapanga pake ma MP. Ma MP aku Malawi, ziko losauka, there's magali models, expensive vehicles. They can't afford those vehicles. Ndi 300 million yanu mene, ndi loan mene amapereka through your tax. They buy big vehicles and they don't pay tax for that. So you lose both ways. You take 300 million, and then they are not even paying tax. And then what they do, amapita soka Trifone Pinganjira, kumanga naye diunga na kuita ni samagali moto ena, kutenga ndalama kwa Pinganjira ujanda kuita ni samagali moto. Smuggle in cars, big cars, vehicles. You lose twice. Andale sago kondanya. Dima daba uti numa konda chifukwa chani. Dima daba anthu mukamazipenta, mumavala, ine ndwa DPP, ine ndwa ITM, ine ndwa MCP. That's how they imprison you. You think you belong. So instead of fighting corruption, you are busy fighting each other, and then you are busy embracing a party you protect. As long as so, it's funny. When DPP was in power, I fought against DPP behavior, and I led demonstrations of all lawyers in Malawi, where we were fighting against the decisions that APM and Muhara, then the SPC, were trying to send the then Andrew Nyirenda as Chief Justice and the most senior person, Justice of Appeal, to retirement, forced retirement. So I led the lawyers and we fought. I received death threats that time, from even close people. And they said, Ndwa MCP, Ndwa Tonsa, Ndwa UTM, there were all sorts of things. Then Tonsa came into power. I stood my ground in many issues, including refugees, statuses, including corruption. I called out Achakwera many times. Many people don't remember, but in 2020 or 2019, in 2020, was that 20? No, 2019, I called out Achakwera as the most unshameless, double standard person. China zika nchonena kuti so ne Achakwera ndamuna kutali kwambiri kuti ndi munthu wopanda alibe Achakwera uje Dr. Lazarus Achakwera. He's someone who doesn't have alibe shame. He doesn't stand for anything. In 2019, anthu ngati muli ndi skill ya research, you can go to my post. Kayangana 2019 nena kuti and how each mention chika kuti there was a time Joyce Banda anazapanga UTM zinachuka kuti UTM ikulowa mu alliance ndi Chilima. So panali ndi 2A celebration amayi akupanga ubale ndi SKC winning team blah blah blah. And then but there was a demand kuti mwana wa mai Roy akhale vice president wa SKC, which I think didn't work. Those are just rumors. But essentially, the alliance did not work. Time in alliance ya UDM ndiyo Jenima Beba. Achakwera anazanena zaka katangale zatandi katangale and president zandege zijada amaya tizamanga amene wajajija. Amaya na itembenuza atachoya kuzati zodi asana mfani nda UDM abanga obale ndi Chakwera. Obanga obale ndi Chakwera amaya. Achakwera anafusidwa za ndege anena no. I will not put my hands in SCB. That would be the job of SCB. Meaning, I went straight to my Facebook page and wrote, Chakwera is the most shameless hypocrite or something of that nature. And I wanted to that's like 7 years ago already. Time flies. Time goes by so fast. But that is not only to this guy, Chakwera, the current president, because the current president has been saying, I will not shoot anyone when it comes to the fight against corruption. But then he's appointing people that are corrupt. Akusanga and America corrupt, that are criminal. And then there is this Amaris Hotel, which is clear that there is the finance minister was corrupt. Collins McGrath, even the attorney general was implicated. A number of people within his cabinet and closer people, and then he hasn't done anything. So the hypocrisy will show as soon as possible how the president deals with the Mary's Hotel issue. The question there is, should we depend on the politicians to fight corruption? The answer is no. If they want pressure in any yourself, pressure. What happens is corruption. They are scot-free. In fact, panoba kumalawi zinapeza anthu okuba amene amaba ndi amene amakwera. Ndi amene amapita kusogolo, ndi amene amachita bwino. We have created a society, instead of creating a society that is based on hard work and merit, we have created a society that is based on corruption. Success means corruption. Success. That's why Ajina Mpinganjira Bushiri can do an Ironman conference, and in that Ironman conference they don't talk anything substantive in terms of how to generate income, how to generate capital, how to grow a business. There's nothing they can explain there on how to, because they have not themselves grown a business. They haven't grown a business. They themselves are not in any business. They're in money laundering and fraud and stealing. Mpinganjira stole FDH Bank, and I'll tell you maybe tomorrow or Thursday or Friday. I'm not sure. My schedule is going about, but I will have a live where I talk about FDH from day one. That's why Mpinganjira had the whole conference, but failed to show how he bought that bank. That he can't explain the FDH Bank. He can't. So imagine owning a bank for all these years, but failing to explain. Kupita ukapanga presentation yori studi ndi maeso isuda kujonga kuchita kwaya itana anthu kuti ine ndifuna ndikuoneseni chuma changa ndinzeru zanga za business. Koma you can't explain how you in that bank. How much evidence do you need to know? He should have been arrested from that conference. And then he has the guts to say, do not worry about who is stealing. What more evidence do you need to know about how crooked the guy is? You should find out from the conversation we're going to have how that bank came about, including how he stole MSB, and I'll raise that in the slide to follow. But Antaga Guida, Madam Chuma, Mafuna Kubanga bribe, my judge, Gudi Chirungamo, Chachi Yasanko, Gudi Sitina Indebri, Saoneg, which would have affected what we call universal suffrage. It's the heart of democracy. Democracy. It's Section 6 of the Constitution. So that he attempted to strip us off that provision, that right to universal suffrage, which is at the heart of democracy. And what happens? He's scot-free. He's pardoned by a president, which he was trying to prevent from becoming into power, despite the masses voting for that person or having disputed an election which was caught to have been undermined in its integrity due to the irregularities, typics and all that. So, and then you see that person is free. Raf Kasambara was caught, trying to, or conspiring to kill someone, and that person was, there was an attempt on their life, yet he was on bail for the rest of his life. And the Guru Mifuse Malawi also said that Raf Kasambara was convicted. Why did he die as senior counsel? They will not explain to you. You know, how did Raf Kasambara die as a senior counsel? Yet he was convicted. Because Raf was convicted. He was a convict. Pinganjira is a convict. Why has FDH continued to run? Because they created a way where they moved my shares, but bank manager went out landed, including Cuba, Kwa MSB, how they stole MSB from the Malawians. But as I said, there will be a day to discuss that. Now, you see, institutionalized corruption, normalization of corruption. You see this vehicle. This vehicle is worth 450 million. But muntu mabwana mwina 4 or 5 siku zote ndangati kumandi tu sangati chepele awili. Aku Malawi Human Rights Commission akuendera chimene 400 million. Abwana aku ligwedi mene ili bungwe kamena department yo thandiza anthu osowa akuendera chincha 400 million 50 million. Abwana aku prison kumene ambiri nthawi zambiri andi nditi manena kuti amapeza kuti madzi kulibe mabuilding amazi akukanika kulipira mabuilding amene akukhala depleted like mabuilding oti atha kugwa nthawi nayo yonse chakudya maimesi amatha kukhala masiku osadya koma akuyendera chigalimoto chimenechi kuti mwayang'ana even ma police ma prison warders osati ma inmates omangidwawo koma ogwira ntchito asilikali aku prison manyumba amene amakhala, their conditions of work. It's pathetic. So this is institutionalized corruption. Where mabwana, kuti muone mene zimayendera minister akamapanga retire akamuchosa akamamaliza cabinet ija akamaipanga reshuffle. How much money goes it? It's a lot of money. So reshuffle ili yose kumapeza kuti anthu akuiphula ndithu ife basi mangombera manje. Then niwafuna ningokuonesani kesi mwa isanzo imene ili AIP, a money making machine for politicians. That's my argument, which is that when you look at how AIP operates in Malawi, zimangokhala ndalama zodusisa za federeza zije zimangokhala njira yodusisa empowerment kungokupimbani m'maso kungokupakani phula koma ndalama zimene zijazo what they use is to go back to the pockets of politicians. So you will see that this case, Africa Investment Group Limited and Farmers Fertilizer involving Revolving Fund of Malawi, Honorable the Attorney General and Malawi Fertilizer Company Limited, is a commercial cause number 51 of 2024. So there's not even a judgment. So they mastered goodies. Judgment and how is the owner? Kuma sinanga judgment zima card goded. But many ma consent zongo goodies anazi zima so and Malawi don't follow up on things. Then abanga master aguba Malawians don't follow up on things. So how best should we? Tizungo banga ma consent. The consent hii lawyer wake anali kwina kuwapona kita kwina ku aligi soya and the Attorney General chakaka nyenda anasainya people P. Drama zimene zinadusa baba, it was close to 40 million. Okay? That's how much money was given kungogwirizana. Kodi nkhani nayo udiyana. Ningopereka chisanzo. Boma ili linkafuna kugula fertilizer. Linapeza company kuti company imene itathamangisa za fertilizer. Boma linatenga zindalama zokwanira kulipasa company inapeza company ina kuti igule nayo kwa fertilizer. Kenako company imene boma inapanga contract ja inachedwa kupereka ndalama kwa awa chifukwa cha forex cha zovuta zotezo. Koma boma linaita ipasa company ndalama zonse. Kenako anazasumira awawa limozi ndi aboma. And kumapeto kwake aboma aja ndikugwirizana nazo anthu aja ndikuwatani kodi ndikuwapasa $40 million. What else do you need to know? That's corruption. It's clear-cut corruption. They will not justify this case. It was later on when I realized when the corruption was happening, dinazuona zikuchitika. For tsiku linake ndili ku Malawi and I was at Capital Hotel. I saw upon a gita ali pa meeting ndi ali Nsoya. Also asinanga ndikwazi, oh, these are people that I know, you know. Panali beko tsabo koma panali advisor of president on religious janjani anagwira ndi bill ku parliament kuti amapanga simango pa amwene Pastor Tom. He was the one who broke the $40 million deal. You know, he was a broker. So ndama iziza nangogawana achina wapona gita ali Nsoya, Tabo and the president ndi achina Tom. Ndi antwena amina school minister of agriculture chan. So this is how they steal money from us. Abasu mtawapeleka ma example ambili kuti muone how ya MCB drama mene zina procedure through the office of the attorney general. Then muone ka 6 months agaga mene attorney general anali Frank Mbeta. Muone aso kuti tikunama magai. So I just wanted to make this point. Corruption is funny. It's like slave trade, you know. And how many amenyina nkhondo amatasa kuma kumenya iweyo chifukwa kuti anthu aja amasanduka mitimulungu tawo nde ukakamba za SKC amakukuno SKC watu usatigumu nde kuti akutukwana wiki yonse akaso ni mwayo akupha ndithu koma ukamenya ndiyo nde Harriet amanena mumveka bwino that I saved 1,000 slaves. I could have saved 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves. So anthu ambiri saziwa kuti ndi akapolo. Ukamapulumusa amamba kumenya sewe. Aminofuna kwapulumusa. When you retire, you want to be like me. When you retire, Wanda nzero. Creeks. I think it's very complicated. Kumano pali mafamily na ake amenezima endera bino. Kaya kuti DPP kaya kuti na makauda akuja nao. Ndechenjera nao. Yo, amanyara Malawi. I gave up on Malawi. These are hegemonic cliques. They survive. It doesn't matter who is in power. That's why Mpinganjira andira pardon through Achakwera. Amene Pinganjira mamukia Achakwera kapopereka ndalama kwa judges. What happens in the end? Because man spoke. Achakwera Jandi is a sold out. He shouldn't even stand on the podium with Malawi. Why do we give him that platform? What? Tima Penega and Jima, what is it still? Mpava. If Achakwera wakubera ni mamilioni ambili and you're giving him a platform with Azibu Yankula ni bene. Azibu. Agudi Lazaro wauka. Lazaro wakumale mbondini. We are sad people here. So corruption. In general, corruption in the health sector. I just took one sector which is critical, and the sector will affect also health sector. Recently, you've seen a minister wenda kumazibara aja and wabanga reviewed tika okatangalia mena machitika pakati pa gadi ndi anthu ozatenga mankhwala aja anesi ndi anthu odwala, you know, ndi corruption inde ndikatangali koma ndikatangali opanda ntchito amene sikuti amapanga cause so much problems. The real corruption, the Minister of Health, a minister aja are responsible for. Kuma savanga chiti chose. Ndi amapanga inside niyo the public. Ifaja tsiru wanu kupusa kwa numa cut too excited. Akupanga yeye akulimba. The real corruption is what she's heading. Ku ministry kuja kuli mankhwala kugula bwanji. Ku central medical stores. How much money did they receive the last 5 years? How much medication did they buy? Mankhwala wanapita kutiko. Agiradi nchito mankhwala waenda bwanji. Kungopanga audit imene muona unena kuti only 20% of the medication money really goes to Malawians. 80% amakhala apaswana. Pokagula kuja amakhala aba. Central medical schools kuja kumakhala kulika ntangale. Osa yamba, okazika wangonagona. Yanga na kumene kuja mankhwala jaso akafika zibadala kumanaso ndima medical assistant ma pharmacist okuba ma pharmacist assistants okuba mankhwala jaso atapaso apita nawo kuma pharmacy yawo ja mankhwala pamene munthu wakumuzi akapena munthu osowa 1,000 amene sangakwanise ku private akumpeza amangompeza 2% basi 90% agawana atafuna analysis of the issue of how we are importing even medical care. Recently, I know it's South Africa, and people say, I can't speak with authority, but obviously, I think that our president, Professor Bingo Mtalika, there was a time where Chidima, document, yokuza ndarama zobita kwa yeye zinaoneka. Zimoneka wade agu nyumba kwake, amanande athandizo kupita ku South Africa, because there's no health care system yooneka bwinobwino yogwirika ku Malawi. And we send people to India for serious treatment. And I was asking myself, the last 20 years, how much money have we spent? Of that money, if we do an audit, can that money not build us a state-of-art hospital where we don't need to send any more people to India? And here we should be waiting. Matenda and India. Do you know how many days you have to fly to India? How many hours? Muntu amabizora kama fio mino jawa chaka chigiratu. You know, ndema mkwasa kaya mpamvuso amuchaka chiges yamba kuzitolera kumene kuja kaya so we are a sad nation. When you look at the Akabaza, Kamangila operate, you know, we need to remove my bikes, especially in places where there are vehicles all the time. These are they are death traps. You know, kuma sivi ni misoya tuma poto wake undi ndikumanda kaya. Kuma jita kuona uti ndafika dambuyo kafika kunyumba. Ndeu kagula wakaduma endera, let's say X1 BMW. Matea lage makaa jonchi. They are thin like this. Nde wamajo wa blanda kafika kulongwe. Umakaa kuli mwina wa polisa matea la wii. Matea la odula songa dao. Rii muso mwina so ya bindiga. Zigo watuli jet. It's costly. Corruption is costly. It costs our lives, it costs our savings, it costs everything. It costs our happiness. We can't be happy in an environment where there's corruption. Even the corrupt, they're not happy people. They just depend on drugs, on alcohol. They're very alcoholic. They womanize a lot. They do everything. And Tima Chulas have corruption yet. They are drunkards. They're into cocaine or Indian hemp. They are into women. Women is or into men, because also the women that are corrupt, they are also into men, you know, apart from the drug abuse. Zintuma ona disabu kuma izizi za jera, izizi za njizimu jina zake mtu wisali mnobino. But they are trying to cope up, because when you're doing evil, like stealing money from poor children, from the poor nation, from the poor, you have no peace, so you have to coping mechanisms. So that's why they're into drugs. That's why they're into alcoholism. That's why they're into and this sexual drive. Sexual drive, command. It's something else. You have to catch up. You know. In Malawi, we do not have emergency response. Ngozi kajiga, ukima tengera mwai. Amina kubera kumbuyo, ayime, anyamula. Deko anyamula wake soma nka kunyamula antu ambili sana puzile first aid, first aid uli kodi mabanga banyi muntu akavula bangozi madana. Izi zinanchigirabo muntu amene mamuziwa. Amina abizauda nawo nonga spinal cord. Mena mabita na South Africa. Antana adampweteka musu response. Even in Blanta, even in Nongo, you know. Even tika maintenance miseo, palimala mina majitika ngozi. Palidepo even a clinic. We are not very different who ugwiza. City mazikon, right? We don't love ourselves. And we are moving on. Mazi, I'm a leader. Hey, I'm a leader of the house. Hey, I'm a leader of the stupid. Basi empty. How can you say you're a leader of the house then instead of the speaker? What are you doing for the nation? Who are you holding accountable? How is the country? How are you transforming the nation? You know? Chief Justice. What? Which justice? You know, when we say Chief Justice, my answer to it, the Lordship Chief, I'm a Chief Justice, I'm a Chief Justice. We should be ambitious people. We should be proud people to do the right things. You know? Our health systems was exposed during COVID-19. I believe the stealing billions ija imene chakwera nina kuti ndalama zimene azibweza Achakwera amandisowesa chonena zama responses za emergency responses ngozi imene achitika SKC ija amene ajasamalina kumwalira mwina ngati inali ngozi chifukwa khani imene I think ningoisiya kaye tizayikamba mu June tikudira kaye amalize kaye kupanga inquiry yawo tisasokoneza inquiry apange inquiry ndefe tizakuuzani zomwe zinachitika zomwe tikuganiza kuti zinachitika samene kuti zomwe zinachitika ngati ife ndife mulungu koma zomwe tikuganiza kuti zinachitika Professor Bingu Mthalika anamwalira mdziko muno kumathamangisidwa kupita ku South Africa atamwalira komano it was because panalibe particular medication komanso proper systems of responding to an emergency. Panopa as we speak tilibe ndege, you know, msogolero watu zina zake zitachitika for God forbid kapena a minister kapena a speaker kapena even chief justice tilibe ndege and asitikana talibe ndege je, you know, like what but akuti kangata ndi ndege wisa dziko latuli I may not worry you about the sections, but the independence of the judiciary does not mean the absence of accountability. In fact, independence is only possible where there's accountability. The snake there represents how corruption is. Kuti kumuntu ko ndi judiciary pakati po ndi parliament, executive ndi kwinako. Blatant impunity tukambaza kuti zinthu zikamachitika nzokhazika za normalization of abnormalities kuti anamangidwa hapo, criminal fraud inachitika, you know, but no one was arrested. The Amalis Hotel maona zimana banga report shadow report imafuna ubanga ina mundanda zao. That's blatant impunity. Some afuna, they haven't recommended anyone to be prosecuted criminally. Ango nina da ango fufuza so pusa zeni blatant impunity. They don't care. There's a case reviews where Martha Jizuma amena kufuna kumanga sata ndazi nzake ndanya mata yake nditi ndamena ana mangiba, you know. Ombudsman anani naona kuti ahirare chiromba analibe kuma qualifications to be a director. That's blatant impunity. Uje na kumena kuja kunapita upanda certificate anachita kugula atafika atalemba kale ntchito akajaje and uyu Kenyatta Nyirenda, he is a very corrupt judge. He allowed Kajaje to serve for 2 years or more, you know, without making a ruling on the issues or that the ombudsman were raising. And when the judgment came, the judgment was unfounded at law. It was a judgment that ignored the facts and law. Blatant corruption. Professor Kanchezera has spoken on this. Kamangila Mabni I released the evidence. The reason why they wanted to destroy the evidence or to know how much I had so that they should prepare their weapons. They also would tell through the evidence that I give who my whistleblowers were, you know, and then they would want to. So there was a way of dealing away with the accountability. That's why they were demanding. And to open the maina, how can concerned citizens reach out to the Chief Justice? How did they? In concerned citizens, I Deputy Chief Justice, Ali Chikopa. Ali Chikopa emweyo kazi peleka eka mu office mwake kalata akuti Kamangila apeleke umboni mkwandani afiti. Muli protest private lawyers in MSB case. Muntu nditu akuyankha milandu kumanena kuti lawyer kumasuka kumene blatant corruption, you know, blatant impunity. Judicial Service Commission kupereka only 1 week or a few days kuti anthu apereke ma submissions. We have to fight. Tapeleka nthawi yokwanira bwinobwino mpaka na panoti results investigation yawo sitikwaziwa akupanga biya kuti investigate. But they were rushing through kupanga push anthu kuti apange mwachangu. Achina mkweza lamba I mean, I would say so want to go to act on fertilizer supply. Do you know how Achakwera ajina nkweza namba maji nao drama. You know, even my girlfriends hao anao nimba nchito ku police. Ajina nkweza namba tukwazi wabunwa. Anthu ajera kwambiri. Sanga bange press briefing. Have you ever seen in the world where you see in Malawi people doing a press briefing over an individual? An individual only out basa tu ajina boni galindo ajina nkweza namba mabanga ku press conference Kamangila this Kamangila did that. Hi, Zikomo. Hi, thanks.
Okay, Alex, I think
how many minutes do I have?
30 minutes, they are tired.
Oh, but you were supposed to tell me after 30 minutes. So, let me conclude. Thank you for bringing that up. Affected, kuja na pasurago. No one follows up on these things. You know, nwafuna upanga reference ku Africa, kudi ex-Zuma, naya ndumba vawake, Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, Emerson Mugabe, Zambia, Ndazinzage, even the late president whose funeral is yet to be buried, whose body is yet to be buried, sorry. You don't bury a funeral, you bury the body. Nimanena zamalalo, kuzakamba zaka muzu, mbava unamukuza, muruzi, 1.3 billion yatu, bingu, 60 billion, 65 billion anabira malawi, Joyce Banda, kashigiri, namukuza, ndindi story yose yakasambala pamene pa yokuza Joyce Banda connection APM mukuziwa inu za corruption imene mukuza nthawi ya first term Dr. Lazarus Chakwera ndi the recent billionaire Chakwera atakhala mwina pano pa ndi trillionaire ndi ndalama zoopsa kwambiri UTM mukuziwa kalemera anabera achima kuli achina kayati kumene kwa milandu yambiri achina masangwi now kabambe is involved in the corruption in Reserve Bank. I was discussing here, instead of having civil servants, we have evil servants. And the common denominator is that. So SPC, Zamba, 90 Zamba, Maba, Wambili, Kuba Mabetu, Panopati India, Justin, Saidi, Akubasa, Bamba Minaja, Dibuaku, 2 months, Maba, Azenga Mashia. Zoran, Zokumudisa, Panopa, Joyce Banda, Mampanga closed down. You are trying to sideline Joyce Banda. Even yesterday, Joyce Banda. Jane Ansah, Dr. Jane Ansah was at, because I was just discussing the former presidents, that's why Joyce Banda word name just stuck to my brain. But Dr. Jane Ansah, just today I think, Malino would have it. I understand that the NBC was not there, did not beam, and I think in the news, just to close her down. And the NBC, what are you doing? Brian Banda, NBC go only so my certificate, my people are in now to carry NBC. What gives you power to close down Ankapanga beam Dr. Jane Ansah, a very educated young woman whom Malawians voted to be the vice president of this country? Usadiambe diwe Brian Banda. Brian Banda would summary. Magamba go now doing my corporate executives. They had a bit of corruption. In fact, I'm going to win the National Bank and to lose as my millions, my billion, not my million, my billion. How is that even possible? In which country? Zintu, zoze zega, zimenezima chitika kumeneko. Abale, apa, ndikafika apa, ndisegwe apa, nimazaka za malnutrition, 674 children die in 6 districts. Those are the recorded ones, and it's just in 6 districts. 6 districts. And tell me how many 6 districts and how many more died. Those are just recorded. In 6 districts, 674 children. I'm a fan in their patronage in Dandao. I'm a fan for the 33 billion. How do you add your Sanchiro? 33 billion, many, they roll it or come so 100 billion. Since I find out what? Dana was 14 billion. My city already 14 billion in the bank. Dita Kukambabo, Nagata Kambabo, Finance Bank. Finance Bank ya material nija imena mafuna kuja imeta sokoneza ni ma progress manage ambaye nkondo ya indera way forward we need to continue litigating in court Ken Manda versus Alexis Kamangila ndi kesi meneli kuyankha mpaka na bano babe mapita mu court ndithu accountability. We need to hold judicial officers and prosecute them and take them under investigation, disciplinary. And Magambabo this other day, Kuti, I think in Minnesota, Kuti my lawyers, akapezeka olakwa ku Malawi Society kucho. Chimene timapanga ndikungwa dani, kungwa chosa kapena kwauza da abweze ndalamazo chanchani. Komano sapangidwa prosecute. We need to prosecute these lawyers. Maloya azimangidwa. Azikalowa kundende. Amene apezeka maloya apezeka kuti adya ndalama za client. Azimangidwa ndithu. They should be arrested. They should be arrested without osanyengerera. That's how you deal with corruption. That's how you deal with financial fraud. Magamba za corruption ndi incompetence. Kuli zinthu ziwiri zimene zonsezo ndi grounds to impeach a judge. So most of the judges, all the judges that I've mentioned, they are corrupt and there is a proof to their corruption. But if you do protect them from just the fight of corruption, they can't survive on incompetence. Countering corruption by its face, kuti nthawi zaka says all these decades, madolo ambuyo mamango dako Katangali. It was only 2024 when I was able to call Katangali by its name. Aken Manda ndakuba, Achikopa ndakuba, ndi chigawenga. Amadise ndakuba, my judge naturally, Amandeza, he's corrupt, very corrupt. I called out Frank Mbeta as a corrupt lawyer. Gift Nankuni, Oguba, Gift Kadundu, lawyer Oguba Mbava, Wapona Gida Mbava, Edi Gagajere, Chigawenga Jenny. So the calling out of name changed the narrative. And a lot of things are happening, So we need to nationalize the fight against corruption. The Nkani at once to civic space has to rise up against. I wonder why this issue was never as intense as it is now. The issue against corruption, fighting corruption. This issue, when I say Joseph Margaret, fight corruption. That's how the country was developed. We can't develop with corruption. This level where it's institutionalized and it is normalized. The abnormalities have been normalized.